Hello everyone. How are you all? Please drop in chat box like from where are you and what's your project about? What SDG Sustainable Development Goals it's targeting and UNF and UNAI principles. I would love to read out your projects and let's drop your LinkedIn and social media IDs. Connect. It's a very great opportunity to connect. So, and if anyone wants to introduce themselves, I can unmute them and you can introduce yourself whole uh, to the whole webinar. Hi, Safia. We're from Bangladesh. Hi, Sayeda. It's great. I'm also from, by the way, I'm Shlok, and I would be serving in the capacity of a moderator for this particular webinar. And I'm from Jain University, Bangalore, currently pursuing BA in Economics and Public Policy. I'm in my second year. And to say about my project, I'm working on water conservation and water restoration, mainly focusing on the Sustainable Development Goal 6, that's clean water and sanitation, and UNAI Principle 9, that's sustainability. So Bangalore is, going through water crisis, and the city is facing very much of groundwater depletion. So we came up with this project with my cohort. It's a group of 8 people that we need to tackle this, and we are running educational drives and like more things. So hi Maxwell. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and speak, please go ahead. I can unmute you. Please raise your hand. Okay, so today, the speaker for this webinar would be Angela Siefer. She's an executive director and founding leader of the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, where she has helped to shape the US digital equity movement since 2015. Working in digital inclusion since 1997, she has set up computer labs in underserved communities, led local and national programs, and advised the US Department of Commerce. Through her work, she inspires and connects practitioners, policymakers, and communities to expand affordable internet access, devices, and digital skills so that everyone can fully participate in society. She is an example of committed long-term leadership for equity in digital age, and we are happy to have her here with us today. Uh, Angela, I'm happy to introduce you, and now the floor is yours.
Thank you, Shlok. That was very nice. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be with you today. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, in the United States. So, thinking about the United States, it's kind of in the middle, slightly to the east. We think of ourselves as part of the Midwest. Big thanks to MCN and to Shlok for having me here, and to all of you for the work that you do. I'm excited to talk with you, so I will keep my comments short so we can have more of a conversation. I started this work that we now call the digital divide probably 30 years ago. I was in school. Uh, I was studying, I was in a sociology program and getting my master's degree, and I was working with a professor, and we ended up helping multiple organizations who were setting up computer labs. And one of those programs wanted to create a coalition of people who were working on equitable access to the internet. Actually, let me rephrase that. 30 years ago, it wasn't about access to the internet. That's what it's about now. Then it was more about access to technology. So it was about access to the computers 30 years ago. Times have now changed, our needs have changed, and now it is the access to the internet. And we understand a lot more about it today than we did then. Plus, we also know what it is that folks need to be doing on their devices and on the internet. About 10 years ago, I formed the National Digital Inclusion Alliance. So this is an organization in the United States that is a affiliate-based organization. So we represent organizations and we support organizations across the US who are in their own communities helping people get access to the internet, understand how to use it, have the right technology, whether, because a lot of times a low income family will have a mobile device, but they won't have a computer with a keyboard. So making sure they have the right device and then ongoing digital skills. The technology that we all use and how we use it keeps changing. So we have to be able, all of us need a support system for learning new digital skills. And if you come from a community where it's not so common to have digital skills and there aren't people around who are interested or able to teach you, then you need another support. So NDIA is very much encouraging of and supportive of organizations that are trusted in their communities because technology is intimidating and we need to have someone that we trust to teach us these digital skills. Also in the United States, internet is expensive. So it can be $70, $75 on average for a home broadband connection, and then another $40 to $50 for your mobile connection. And so a low income family will often only have a mobile connection. They won't have a connection that comes into their home. And so that means then when mom goes to work, the internet walks out the door and the kids do not. And whoever is left in the home, the caretaker, grandma, or whomever it is, does not have access to the internet. So we are very much interested in a holistic solution. So the access to the internet, the right device, and the digital skilling, ongoing learning that is needed. Okay, Shlok, I'm going to turn it back to you so we can have more of a conversation. You're on mute, Shlok.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's great to know that you founded National Digital Inclusion Alliance and helping people to understand technology, because in today's world, like, technology is one of the most best, most used feature that everyone should know. Like, as if I compare it in India, the rural villages have still don't have computers and they don't have access to computers. So, like, developing their making computer labs, it's a very great initiative, and like the idea is superb. So let's take few questions. Yeah. So, as you mentioned that you started with setting up a computer labs in underserved areas and managing local digital inclusion programs, your first-hand knowledge led to consult for the U.S. Department of Commerce and testify 4 times before Congress. With us living in culture where technological innovation is happening every minute, what current threats do you see in the digital space that believe we all around should be aware?
So I am very much convinced that the next iteration or the next version of the digital divide is coming from AI. So now it's not only about understanding how to use the technology that all of us have, those of us who do use technology every day have become accustomed to, but now there's this new challenge out there, which is AI, and there's a confusion around it. There's an uncertainty amongst those who are not in the technology field of what is this? Do I really need it? And I don't think the question of do I need it is actually the right question. I think the question is how will I adapt to this? Because it's not a choice. Just as today, using the internet is no longer a choice. Particularly in the United States. I will let everybody else speak for their own cultures, but in the United States, there are much of life is absolutely you have to go online in order to accomplish a task. Whether that is filing your taxes or renewing a driver's license or getting a diploma, it requires some level of interaction that occurs online. And so it is absolutely required, and AI is on that same path because now we are seeing AI in everyday tools that many of us use, like Gmail or any email system. When the predictive text that comes up, when it suggests what you should be typing, it's AI. And I think there are many who would say, no, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't need it. But it's already here. They actually can't avoid it. And so then when we talk about generative AI, which is more in the chat GPT, they may think they're going to avoid it, but then it's somebody else has created something with one of those generative AI tools, and then they need to know whether they can trust what's in front of them or not. So it is something that all of us have to figure out every day.
Very like has become the new normal of today's modern era. Everything like small answers also we take from AI, paraphrasing as you said, like everything is AI. And
Yeah.
also as you said, like everything is going online, applying for a driving license or filing up the taxes, which required manpower before. Everything is now done online, so we can't ignore internet in today's uh, day. So before we move on to the next question, I would like to remind everyone who has joined webinar, please drop your questions in the chat box so that we can take it up at the towards the end. So please drop your questions in the chat box. So moving on to the next question, as we're talking about the internet has been a thing since 1990s, and has transformed quite a lot in the past few decades. As we talked about AI, and then in 2014-15, Chrome was a very progressing thing. So thinking about the internet now as a space to connect and build together, how do you think young leaders, as we can leverage this space and at the same time being mindful of the ways this space can be manipulated by?
Yeah, it is definitely a powerful tool, right? Everybody realizes there's a lot that can be done, but there is also a lot of harm that occurs. And so recognizing how that harm can occur and recognizing that, particularly with AI and other tools that manipulate images and text to make us think things are true and maybe they're not true. So having that hesitancy and double checking information that you find in order to keep yourself from accidentally believing something that's not accurate. Uh, and it's also having those conversations with the people in our communities and in our social networks about whether what we're seeing is accurate, is correct. And so that's really hard. And I think that's something we all need to be doing. But at the same time, it is a really powerful tool. And so using this tool for good, which is what I suspect all the fellows are doing, right? They all know how to use tools, or else they wouldn't be here. And this is one of the tools that can be used.
Uh, Everything has a good or bad, I would say. Like in AI also, there are many
Yeah.
like deepfake videos, and many like Gemini also has Vivo karke, a tool which is used for making videos, and it's about the mentality and the mindset that the person is using. So everything has a good or bad. Internet is a blessing, but it's a curse too. Uh, so moving on to the next question. You envision a world in which everyone has skills and the resources to use internet to thrive and better themselves in their communication. That's why you founded National Digital Inclusion Alliance. So to advocate for the digital equity, founded and build a community of digital inclusion heroes. Many of our fellows are working to build projects on digital access and digital inclusions. What advice would you share with them for your journey about working in this space?
I think maybe the most important advice I would give is to build the community of your peers who are doing similar work and the individuals who are being that you are serving. So for NDIA, the people we serve are the organizations and local communities because NDIA is national. And so the people that we are serving are not the individuals receiving the training. The people we serve are the individuals doing the training. right, providing the training, not receiving the training. So that's who we serve. So it's important for us to spend time with the people that we serve to make sure that what we are doing is useful to them, but also for them to spend time with each other. So I really think one of the thing I am most proud of about my career is having not necessarily this organization, but the community that makes up the National Digital Inclusion Alliance. We have over 2,000 affiliates. Affiliates are organizations who are community based. Sometimes it might be a local government, it could be a library, it could be a housing organization, and they are the ones providing this digital support and training in their own communities. So we view them as the heroes in this, and we have a lot to learn from them, and they have a lot to learn from each other. So I very much encourage doing that learning with the others in your field who are, or if you're building a field, as in this space, the field didn't exist necessarily. There were individuals doing the work, but until NDIA started pulling people together, it wasn't as clear of a field as I would say it is today. And so learning from them and then lifting them up. I think personally, one of the things that I've learned how to do much better over the years is lift other people up. So make sure to recognize who is doing good work, even if you don't like everything, all the work that they do, but you like one aspect of the work they do, celebrate that aspect and celebrate them, because as we lift each other up, then we can all accomplish more. You're on mute again, Shlok.
I wouldn't agree more that building a community is one of the most necessary things that we have to do while, especially working for a social project. Because if we don't have a community alone, I guess we can't create that much impact if we have a community. So moving forward with that, your career since then has been dedicated to supporting people and organizations on the ground, providing technology access and guiding digital learning. Working with communities look different for everyone. Can you share some best experiences and practices about working with communities, building partnerships and collaborations with community we serve and the organizations we serve?
Sure. So NDIA uses working groups a lot. There's different, that's the term that we use, but you can call it a variety of things. You could call it a community of practice, you could call it a cohort. But this idea that individuals, so and we have 4,000, 5,000 people, so it's too many to have everybody in one space, so you form smaller groups in order to have these conversations. And so for example, we have a specific working group that is for indigenous digital inclusion organizations. So that is their reality in the United States. They are sovereign entities, and so their reality is different than others, right? So it's important for them to have a space to talk to each other. We have a working group for digital navigators. This is a term that means the individuals in a community-based program who are helping their community members with the skilling and the support that they need on a one-to-one kind of way, or sometimes teaching a class. Uh, but having these spaces where it's smaller groups that can learn from each other, that's really important. We're also really careful about diversity of voices. So for us, that means diversity of the individual themselves, but also the organizations they serve, because we think there's a lot to learn between a what we might call an NGO. In the United States, we would use a different term, but you might call an NGO, and then a local government and a library. They may operate differently, but they have a lot to share between them. So we are careful when we're creating spaces that we have these different organizations represented, but then also because the United States is such a diverse country, to make sure that we have that individual diversity also represented, because we don't want to lose that perspective that somebody might bring, that we all can learn from folks from different backgrounds.
Oh, okay. So moving forward with that, Let's take a few questions from the chat box, and everyone who has questions, please drop in the chat box or raise your hand. We can, you can, if you're comfortable, you can ask the questions personally to uh, Angela. So the first question we would be taking is from Saida. Her question is: as a Millennium Fellow working to promote digital education and inclusion uh, in underserved communities, I'm curious what practical steps can young leaders take to help bridge the the digital divide at the grassroots level, especially in regions with limited infrastructure or funding.
I encourage folks to start by looking for who is already doing this. There's a good chance there's somebody, just some person on their own who is the one teaching people how to do something. When a task needs to be completed online and someone doesn't know how to do it, do they go to somebody else in the community? Is there this one person, right? Is this their one auntie down on the corner who's always the one people go to? Who do people ask? So find those individuals and then help them be able to do that more or help them teach their skills to more people, right? How can you scale their abilities? Raising money is the hardest part of this job. I can tell you, I don't like it. I would much rather just be providing the services, providing the support. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. But we have to find the resources to help. Sometimes it's small resources, sometimes it's larger. One of the first and oldest programs in the United States, which when she formed it was called a community technology center. Today we might call it a digital inclusion program. But when she did that, the way she got it off the ground was to ask 12 people for money, each person for $1,000. Some gave her 1,000, some gave her 100, but her idea was I have to start somewhere, and that's how she got it started. I will share also when NDIA first launched, we did not have any outside funding. I donated my time, another person, two other people, in fact, donated their time. We all donated time in order to get the organization started. And then once we had something real to say, this is what we do, then I went asking others for funding. And also, I think another tip on this funding piece is really big, is to think, oftentimes you can think of your work as consulting. So if you are providing a service, who is it that might pay for that service that you're providing? So in a nonprofit or an NGO space, we would think of it as, in the US, we use the phrase fee for service. So it's the idea that you are providing a service and someone is paying a fee for that service. The difference between fee for service and grant is gray. It's very, very gray. So just keep your options open as to who you might ask to support the work. And you might be asking them because it benefits them. Like that is the best situation to be in when you're requesting funding, not because it's the right thing to do, which I wish that were reality, that that's how we could all raise money because it's the right thing to do. But sometimes raise money because it's what they receive some value from it, whether it's putting their name on something, marketing, or they actually want those online clients.
I also agree that raising a funding for a project, and especially a social impact project, is a very, tough
So
task.
hard.
It's very hard because I have also tried raising funds for my project, and it's a very tough ride. So, uh, moving forward with that, we have Ahmed who has raised his hand. Ahmed, you can just unmute your.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Ahmed.
Good. Good, thank you very much. My name is Ahmad Muhammad Salisu, and I am from Bio University, Kano, in Nigeria. I really like Miss Angela's presentation about her project. Very impressive and wonderful one. It's kind of one of the projects that most people don't even seem to look at. We always look at the agenda, stuff like things that will attract people's attention. some people think like technology is the one that is driving himself. It's nice to hear that somebody in my field, technology, like especially internet, computer. I am a computer science student and I'm specialized in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it's nice to hear somebody like me fostering digital divide access, internet access to rural communities and something like that. And I have a project that exactly looks like yours. So as I asked, one of the things is that you applied your own in the American, American domain, right? Mine is here in Nigeria, where challenges are actually very different. But I think that if I will get to know much about your project, maybe it will give me some insight on how I should navigate my own challenges here. Because you made mention of funding, you made mention of sometimes regulatory issues and stuff like that, the challenges and the setbacks that might be my, let me say, pebbles on the way. But despite that, if I look at the structure of your project, I might get kind of a stepping stone on how my own can get wide, because this is almost 3 years I've been trying to push it up, push it up. All I have is not much of an impact to show. And but what I believe is that what you say is that we should keep moving. Just believe it. And one day, our own name is going to be on the billboard, and our own name is going to be on everywhere like that. So that's what I'm also actually trying to talk about. So if there's any way that I can get access to something about your project that will be beneficial to me and will help me scale my own, or I can get to share my own with you so that I can get a little guidance about it, I will be very, very, very interested in that. And I will be very grateful if that is possible. Thank you very much.
Ahmad and everyone, I welcome you to all the resources on the NDIA website. So our website is digitalinclusion.org. And someone put that in the chat. Somebody find it online. We provide a lot of our materials free, and we do not require payment of any kind. We just ask that you acknowledge that you receive the materials from the National Digital Inclusion Alliance. I think the most important advice I can give for any of your projects is to not do it alone. To find the partners, find the community, build that community so that they are the ones moving this forward with you. Because then when you encounter resistance or you encounter certain people just being very busy, then you have others that can help move it forward. I'm certain NDIA was successful in helping Congress to choose to allocate $2.75 billion for digital equity. The story does not end well. I'll come back to that later. But we were successful in that, and the reason was because we had built the community first. We didn't go after the money first. We built a community first, right? And so the value of NDIA is way more than just this one organization. It's all of the entities within NDIA. I will tell you the very quick end of this unhappy story is that President Trump canceled those funds. And so those funds are no longer available for the work that we need to do. NDIA is suing the federal government. So that's the short, unhappy ending to that story. But it is, Christina is amazing. Thank you so much, Christina, for putting the link in the chat.
Yeah. So, Ahmed, I think, do you have any other question? As you have raised your hand, so Ahmed. Oh, okay, great. So moving on to the next question from Catherine. So, what is your opinion on social entrepreneurship, and what do you think is the main obstacle to achieving a real social impact without harming the community it seeks to help?
Yeah, that's a really important question. And the answer absolutely has to do with hearing from the community, right? You need to work with the community rather than creating programs for the community, create programs with the community. This takes a lot longer, right? If you sat down and wrote out a plan by yourself, you can do it very quickly. But will you be successful? Maybe. But if you do it with the community, The plan ensures you are not harming them, for one, because they will make sure that you do not do that. But also, then you have this level of support in the community who will help you make it happen.
Actually, I have also implemented this technique in my project because like my whole project is about, community drives and educational drives and spreading awareness. So understanding that what's required and understanding with the people of that community has really helped me to understand better and design my project in that particular way, because if I design it by my own and then implement it, that's not gonna work if I design with them and then implement it. So that's like golden words, I would say. So next question, we don't have a name. So, based on your experience and having seen firsthand how technology advocacy has needed to evolve to answer new needs, how do you think we as change makers need to prepare for constant change? How can we advance while moving on such fast pace?
Yeah, that's that's really hard. Um, I think it's important to do a lot of reading and a lot of listening, right? Sometimes we think of leaders as always the ones doing the talking, but the leaders that I admire the most are the ones that hear from others. I oftentimes the way that NDIA has changed, if we had chosen a direction for something and then we changed which way we were going, it occurred because we were hearing, one, from the community we serve, but also from other partners, advisors. When, for example, when the Digital Equity Act was canceled in the United States, I just started phone calls, right? I need advice, I need advice, I need advice, right? So develop all of those people that you trust that you can ask for advice. And oftentimes with partner organizations or so other fellows, hearing what they are working on and how they are doing that can influence the choices that you're making. It's also very time consuming. Everything I'm telling you is very time consuming. I'm really sorry.
As you said, like I need advice, asks for advice. Often, as like I have also seen that we as humans have certain ego that how can I go and ask for advice? I would be on a lower stage. So that's not the case every time. Because if you are if someone is more experienced than you are, if someone has a better advice and if it can, change your trajectory, change your thought process. So there's nothing like as such ego should come there. So before we move on to the next question, please drop your questions in the chat box, and we would be happy to take that questions also. So how do you think the space of advancing towards technology accessibility has evolved? What has surprised you the most in this transformations?
Mm. Um, if we go back very far, we go back 30 years, then the change has been about the internet, not just about computers, and it's about having it in your home and in your pockets. So having access anywhere you go at all times. And that's not how we started out 30 years ago, but that's the reality today. I think there's also been a big shift during the pandemic because then even more of our lives went online. Some of those slightly shifted away, but many did not. Many stayed online. And so the awareness around this issue really exploded. I will joke that I became very popular during the pandemic because people were like, "Oh, I just learned that the digital divide really exists." This is what people would say to me. So what do we do? Those are the kinds of phone calls I was getting. Or media. I was doing a lot of phone calls with media. This is when I learned how to talk to the media. The media would call and say, "Tell me why the internet is important." I really lost patience with that one. Really? You don't already know the answer to this question? I think maybe you do. You just want me to tell you so you can type it into your article, which is ridiculous that we have to articulate why the internet is important. I think one of the things that has very much influenced our work is about the fact that all of us, um, it's it is most common for us to understand our own worlds and the worlds of those that we interact with. So if we're not spending time in communities where people don't have this access or don't have access to any other resources, that that understanding and that empathy that comes with understanding may not exist. So we have to learn from those who either we have to go into those communities or we have to learn from folks who are going into the communities that don't have resources so we can understand their realities and develop that particular empathy. You may have empathy in general, you're a very nice person, but empathy as regards different populations and understanding how they live, it's a different level of understanding. And I do not profess to have all of the answers here, but I do know that this is where the listening is important. We have to keep learning how others are living so that those who have privilege, I have privilege, right? I have a home, I am safe, right? I have these privileges. How do we use those privileges in order to help those that we want to serve?
I think pandemic has changed very much how we look to internet today, because before pandemic internet and after pandemic internet, like within these 5 years of pandemic, the internet has developed most like AI, and then AI to a certain extent that you can make any type of images, any type of videos in just one click. So
Right.
AI has been I think one of the biggest revolution after pandemic that we have seen, Chat GPT, Gemini and all. And I think that's why big companies like Apple, Samsung are focusing so much on AI rather than technology. If we see their new launches of the phones and devices, like 30 minutes is for AI and AI camera and all. So, and post pandemic things have changed because people were sitting ideal in their houses. What can they do? So OTT platforms and everything. So pandemic has changed very much. So moving forward, the next question is, there's no name again. When leading projects that wants to improve technical accessibility, we know there are many, there may be such diverse goals. How can we choose which group to focus on?
Mm. I know I might be sounding like a broken record, but I would focus on the group that is connected to the community that they are serving. Where are their priorities coming from? How are they defining their goals? If it's just somebody sitting in a room by themselves, I wouldn't spend my time there. But if they are representing and they are hearing, that's where I would spend my valuable time. And Shlok, Carol has put a question twice in the chat, so maybe we can answer Carol's question.
Sure. So, my project is about disability advocacy and inclusion. My goals are so diverse that they include children, elderly, the entire community. So it has been a challenge on my side to strike a balance. How can I navigate them? I really need to direct guidance through this process.
I think this is a really common problem, Carol. I don't think you are not alone in any way. So for NDIA, I am very, very cautious that we stay very narrowly to our mission. So our mission is the access to technology, the devices, the connectivity, the skills. It's very easy when we work with partners, because we have a lot of partners who want us to also work on, for example, diversity in the tech field, right? So work on this, right? And we have to stay really narrow and say, we really support what you're doing. And if you have a letter we can sign, we will do that, but we can't devote more resources to it. Carol, in your situation, since it is you working on this, I really encourage you to narrow your focus, because if you are struggling, it means your focus is too large. So pull it in, and you probably want to choose one. Children, elderly, right? Like you choose where you are going to spend your time, because if it's too broad, you will not be successful. And what you can do, though, to help yourself be okay with your decision is to say, this is what I'm doing now, but I don't know if I'm going to stay that narrow. As I move forward, I might be able to work on this issue with other populations.
Yeah. So let's take another question. This is question from Phoenix. For projects oriented around ensuring the flow of information in regards of raising awareness, how do you think we can prepare to cope with AI being able to create false information that could harm our efforts to raise awareness? How do you think we need to prepare as leaders to this new tool having an impact on our efforts?
Yeah, I do not have a grand answer for that question. It's really hard. There is a lot of misinformation and disinformation. So disinformation is when it's intentional. There is a lot of intentional bad actors, one might say, who are out there. And so the voices of those who are doing good need to be just as strong as the voices of those who are doing harm. And I think the AI education is one way for us all collectively to address that harm, to ensure that that education is occurring so that people can't hesitate when they see something and say, I don't know if this is real. Let me go do some other research and go do some other checking. To be critical thinkers, that is really what is necessary everywhere because of what is out there.
Yeah. So this question is from Ibrahim. This is a long question. My question is due to the fact that we know to carry out a project, we definitely need finance. So how do we reach out to stakeholders both within the country and abroad to help fund our purpose project so to achieve our objectives? My project is all about empowering youth within the campus and outside community to become entrepreneurs in various fields standing out in our society to boost economic growth and development?
It's a really good question because financing a project is really, really hard. The most success that I personally have had is when I did as much as I could without funding and then spread the fact that we were doing this work. And then that allowed me to then go pitch sometimes, but often if you get some, they call it earned media, when the media pays attention to your project just because you're doing good work, then that's when sometimes funders came to NDIA rather than me needing to go to them. So very much encourage you to do as much as you can without money and then make the fact known that you have done this. And it's not only doing the project itself, but again, it is building that community. So gathering up, if I were in your spot, Ibrahim, I would gather these social entrepreneurs and create an organization, a peer-to-peer organization of these entrepreneurs, and have them support each other, because you can have a potluck if it's in person, right? Everybody bring some food, and we all sit and have a meal together, and then we learn from each other. But then there is strength in this organization, and then others will want access to this group of entrepreneurs, right? And then that's where you may have an event, and you might say, I need sponsors for this event. And maybe for this event, you're going to buy, for ease of numbers, say you're going to buy one meal, easy, not too expensive, but you ask for enough money that would cover 3 meals. And then you don't spend all the money on the meal, you have money left over, right? And so this is how NDIA was able to get started, was through these sponsorships of of projects where they want access. So others, particularly entrepreneurs, will want access to your entrepreneurs. So offer sponsorships for this access. But first, you have to take the time to build the organization so that it is of value and others want to be connected.
Okay, so as we said that raising funds are one of the most toughest part of a project, and then after also once like we have funds, it's our responsibility also to deliver what we have promised to the investors and to the entrepreneurs who are investing in our project. So before funds and after funds, that's changed very much of how you look up to your project, because after we have funds, then it becomes a very great responsibility that we have to deliver. And
Yes.
moving forward with that, let's take the last question. It's from Joy. What do you think about the impact of AI on minors? And do you think it's possible for regulations of any form to be enforced on the use of AI tools? That's an important question.
It is a very, very big question. I do think it's possible to have regulations that can be enforced. I think in general, this is true. Uh, this is one of the topics that NDIA believes is important. AI needs to be regulated, but we have chosen not to put resources into this issue, right? So we have a policy team of two, and these two people, when we get asked to sign on to efforts to regulate AI, we say yes, include our name. But we don't go out and spend time working on the issue. But it doesn't mean we don't believe in the issue. We absolutely, AI needs to be regulated. And I think it is the kind of topic that's important, Joy, for you to be bringing up in every space that you walk into. Because the more that we all talk about it, the more understanding there is amongst people who are like, AI, I don't understand what AI is. Why are you talking to me? There are lots of people like this. Don't talk to me about AI. I don't understand. And some of these people are governments, and we need them to understand what it is and why it needs to be regulated.
Like technology for mine is also a very big issue in today's era where it's adversely available. Everything is available on one click. So like you can, fake Instagram accounts also. The age is 16, but
Right.
minors like 12, 13 also access it. So that's a very big issue. And now AI chat GPT doesn't ask for any age limit or something. You can literally search for anything and it will give you. So
Yes.
uh, moving forward with that, let's moving to the end. We thank you so much, Angela, for joining us and guiding our Millennium Fellows for on technology and especially AI in this AI era world. So you can give your final remarks to the fellows and also tell that how they can connect with you for future and yeah.
Yes, Shlok, you did a great job
Thank you so
moderating and
much.
facilitating the conversation. So thank you so much for that. And yes, it was great to chat with you all. I loved the questions and the conversation. I am on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. Would love to connect. And again, we have a lot of resources on our website, so please look through those. And if you are looking for something and you can't find it, but you think it should be there, then send an email to anyone on the NDIA team, and we will help you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Angela. It's been a great pleasure to be a moderator in this webinar. So I would just remind you about our future events. So Millennium Fellowship webinar with Mike Harp on Thursday, November 13th, 10 a.m. ET. So please, just convert it to your respective time zones and uh, check it and do register it. Then we have coming on this Saturday, we have networking and upskilling hour on policies, public health, and people on November 15th. That's 4 a.m. ET. So please check your mails and because everything is updated on your mail. So please do check your registered emails with the Millennium Fellowship. if someone has something to say, so they can go ahead. They can raise hand. I can unmute them and unmute them, and you can just share your thoughts and all.